Had she seen this footage recently?
No, no. All the footage in the film, if you've known Jane or you've seen footage of Jane before, some of the footage may look somewhat familiar, but I can tell you that every shot in here is an alternate take. There is not one shot in this film of Gombe that you guys have seen before, and that was from a technical reason, that the shots that were used for the 1965 film Miss Good on the Chimpanzees had, you know, those were, we can only access those from the print. And so those were all grainy and nasty. So we just, and I just didn't want to use it anyways, but we used, so every frame in here has never been seen. And Jane, you know, and also when it was seen, when it had been used before, it was used in a very formal sort of construction, so you never broke down the fourth wall. And to me, what was the most exciting part when we screened through the dailies was when we realized that you were watching Hugo and Jane falling in love.
Yeah.
And you could tell that in 1965, that would be the moment they cut. You know, like nobody, you could see that they're assembling this film with those ones, like, oh, she's looking at the camera, turn it off.
Yeah.
And for us, it was pure gold. And as a filmmaker, and you know, it's just it's a wonderful thing to see someone falling in love with the lens, and then to see it come back, see the look back to you.
Yeah.
It's kind of, it was.
There are a couple of moments in there where I can only imagine the next shot was him dropping the camera and them just getting naked and just doing their monkey business. But that's just me.
You just asked the question I always wanted to ask, but I was afraid to.
No. You know, one of the things that struck me about her that I never thought about before was that she, first of all, she's a son. Yeah, go ahead.
If you don't mind, because we talk so much about Jane, just for a moment, if we can just give it up for Hugo von Lowick. Every shot that you saw is Hugo's. There's no archival, there's no stock footage in this film. Nothing. Every shot of Africa was Hugo's.
How did he do that? I mean, given the technology at the time and the difficulty of what he was filming and where he was filming it, how did he capture such beautiful images?
He was very, well, the film stocks back then, too, had very limited latitude. So,
right.
to expose a chimpanzee in a dark jungle is...
Right, you got light coming through the trees, they're black, it's the sun is very, and yet they're beautifully composed and they look...
So we were doing a Q&A with Jane at the premiere, and I started telling a story. I said, well, you know, Hugo was so ingenious that he would take sand from the beach and he would bring it in a wheelbarrow up to where he thought the chimps might be so he can get a bounce, a reflection off them. And Jane jumps in and goes, that was my idea.
That was a good partnership.
It really was. But he didn't, what you see is pretty much what 140 hours of his footage looked like. There was not a shot underexposed, overexposed. It was his first job, and he was so terrified that he would get fired that he made sure that everything. Now, from our standpoint today, it was very frustrating because we never had the beginning of a shot. You know, it was really sort of...
You didn't get the behind-the-scenes kind of feeling of it.
Well, he would have to wait for an action to happen to start rolling, so he didn't waste his film.
Oh,
so,
I see.
But yeah, it was incredible looking at how he viewed things and fearlessness when the chimps were going crazy and they would come right up to the camera and he would just hold it together.